Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts Podcast. This is season 4, I think. I don't know. It's like 32 episodes, which, if you do math, do your own math. You don't need me to tell you it's 182 episodes. My name's Britt.
I'm Craig.
Craig, my soul has been swallowed by ennui.
Oh no.
It's been 3 weeks since the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, and I am still struggling with it. And on top of that, I've been drafted by my day job to help with the vaccination efforts for COVID-19. So my recovery has been very slow, and I am not in a good place mentally. And along that line, I have a glass of scotch.
There you go.
I haven't touched it yet, but by the end of this episode, I'll probably sound like a happy-go-lucky fool. And that is the power of scotch.
Which scotch is it?
I'm drinking the Charred by Continuum.
Oh.
So for folks who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we have a brewery here in Connecticut called Continuum. It's not a brewery, it's a distiller called Continuum Distilling. And their big thing is that they use reclaimed beer. Now, reclaimed beer sounds like something you flush down the toilet. No, that's not what it is. They use grains that have already been used in beer, and some of the leftover at the bottom of tanks, they reformat it and rebrew it and distill it into hard alcohol. The end result is that you get something that's got a very smooth, not very scotch-like back end to it. It's almost got like a hops aftertaste to it because of the hops and malt that they get from the reclaimed malts. Very interesting thing. I bought Craig a bottle for Christmas. I'm presuming that bottle is gone at this point.
It is. It's in a decanter, but it's pretty low. It's pretty low.
I'm going to make a trip to Waterbury because he doesn't distribute. You have to go to him. I'm going to make a trip to Waterbury in the very near future, like in the next 2 weeks or so, to go pick some more up. So if you want some, you just say the word, I'll bring you some back.
It's not even in, because I actually haven't really looked, but it's not in local stores, is it?
No, he doesn't distribute yet. He is not distributing yet. The only way to get it. Well, and that's the thing, too. He's such a small business. It's like a 2 or 3 man operation. It's a very small business. He'll deliver to you. Like if you spend $100 or more on his alcohol, and that's not hard to do because it's really good scotch. It's like $50 a bottle. If you spend more than $100, he'll deliver to you. You got to give him like a 7-day leeway, and he'll be like, all right, I'll be in your area next Tuesday, kind of thing. It's a mom and pop basically distilling operation, but man, is their stuff good. I mean, it's so nice.
Good.
So I've poured myself an extra large glass of Continuum tonight. Craig, what are you drinking?
So I have a new beer from this is actually their newest beer, from McKiller in San Diego. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's got the kind of like cartoony art on it.
I don't recall ever seeing them, but I can understand why you'd be drawn to it. You are one of those people who actually pays attention to can design.
I do. And I have a can set aside for you because the art on this can, it essentially is me and you looking at a new beer that we've never had. That's pretty much what it looks like.
That's how you're describing it.
Yep. So this is called Haze Cowboy. It was recommended to me by the place I normally go to. So it's a New England style IPA. So it's got Galaxy, Simcoe, and Citra hops. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing is he actually lists all the ingredients like on the label. Like not a lot of breweries do that.
Mm.
And I found out that he actually went to Europe for a while and studied how they make beer there, and then he came back and went to the West Coast and then started making beer there too. So we'll give this a try as soon as I pour it.
Yeah, pour it out and let's give it a try. So let me because I know we want to have a round table with all 4 of our contributors so we can really break down the Super Bowl together. But I'm just going to, while Craig is pouring that, I am just going to give you my 2-second rant on Super Bowl 54. And, well, I have several issues with the Super Bowl this year. First off, I want to question, and this is probably the least of my concerns, but I want to question the wisdom of the NFL in allowing their halftime performer to at one point grab an iPhone and start twirling around inside what looked like a disco ball kind of hallway. Listen, NFL, we drink while we watch this. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like 3 or 4 beers in, and you handed an iPhone to a singer and had him twirl. Are you trying to kill me? I mean, seriously. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I was just making sure the beer didn't spill.
That was a joke, and you just didn't react at all. Normally, Craig chuckles. Like, I'm sitting there, and my wife's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm getting motion sick." And she looks over at me. She's like, "You're not moving." And I'm like, "I know." It was bizarre. That was a bad call. The Weeknd was a bad halftime show. Bad. We can't get 2 decent ones in a row. We can't. Shakira and J-Lo were awesome last year.
Yes,
they were awesome.
For various reasons.
But you know what it was? well, yeah. Let's, we're men and we're drinking. They're attractive women. I don't care how old they are. One of our contributors, I won't say who, would openly, if Shakira showed up outside his house today and said, "Run away with me, Sean," he'd be divorcing his wife. And this is the thing. I told her this, and he didn't deny it. And I think, if I remember correctly, her reaction was, "Why aren't you saying, 'Shut up, Britt, you're wrong'?" Because I'm not wrong. Shakira's like his crush. Everybody's got that celebrity crush, right?
Yeah.
That one celebrity, they're like, "Oh my God, they're awesome." That is our friendship. So there's that. Number 2, I need someone to explain to me why there was a total of like 8 penalties called in the championship round, but there were 11 penalties called against the Chiefs. I don't ever want to hear again, ever in my lifetime, that Tom Brady does not get calls from the officials. I don't want to hear it. The Tyrann Mathieu episode where Mathieu waved his finger at him and Brady chased him halfway across the field and Mathieu yelled back, had the audacity to tell Brady where he could go after Brady supposedly said some really nasty stuff, which Mathieu refused to repeat and refused to engage about, and then a flag came out on him, on Mathieu, not Brady. That is like me robbing a bank, and as I leave the bank, I'm saying, "I'm sorry, I had to rob this bank because Craig is my landlord, so the police arrest Craig."
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's good.
Brady chased him across the field to say something so offensive that he had to apologize for it privately after the game, and that Mathieu would not discuss with the press.
Yeah, that was weird.
So, listen, and I'm saying this right now. Cinch is one of our beloved contributors. I'm saying this right now. I do not ever want to hear anyone ever say to me again that Tom Brady is not favored by officials. You have no argument ever again because of that situation. When the flag came out after that, I looked at my wife and I said, "Good, they finally got Brady for being an asshole on the field." And then it came out, it was like, unsportsmanlike conduct on the Chiefs. I nearly got up, ran outside, took my apartment building, and flipped it like a table. I was so angry, Incredible Hulk level mad. It was just beyond understanding. So I don't want to hear it. The Chiefs had 11 penalties in that game. Well, the Chiefs played like crap. That's correct. Well, you can't play like crap and win a Super Bowl. No. You can't play like crap, have the officials call a one-sided game, and win a Super Bowl. Every call against Kansas City shapes the minute to come. And that's the thing. Does this mean that Kansas City got gypped out of a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. Do not take what I'm saying as that right now at all. What I am saying is you cannot tell me that the calls that extended drives for Tampa in the second and third quarters didn't affect the outcome of the game. Because if they don't get those penalties, Tampa has to punt, particularly in the third quarter. Yep. If they have to make those plays and punt the ball, it's a different game. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is walking out onto the field at 17-9, not 31-9. Maybe he's walking out on the field at 24-9. That's what I'm saying. They got a touchdown right before the half because of a bad penalty call. They got a touchdown in the third quarter because of a bad penalty call. If this game is closer, it's played differently. And because the officiating was abysmal, absolutely abysmal in the Super Bowl, and that's not news. If anyone's sitting there saying to yourself, "Oh, what the hell are you talking about?" Then you haven't been paying attention. Go back under your rock. You've not been paying attention. Everyone has been critical of the officiating.
For me, it started in the Packers game.
But that's the thing. Okay, so and that's where I'm going to go with this. And I'm again, we're going to move on in a second. I got to have my rant.
Go, please, go ahead.
I got it. Craig is like, I'm just going to sit here and drink.
It's fine.
And just
go
push
ahead.
the record button. You just go right ahead and vent. If this is, we'll charge you a copay at the end of this. It's fine. I'm pulling up the stats right now for the NFC Championship. Green Bay, 4 total penalties. 4. Tampa, 2. 6 total penalties in the NFC Championship. 11 against the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs just didn't play the same game. No, that's not it. The officials didn't call the same game. And that is the difference. Look at every game leading up to that, and you're going to find fewer than 10 penalties. Bills, Chiefs. I'm pulling it up right now, and I haven't looked at this. I'm doing this on the fly, so if I look like an idiot for saying this, I'll look like an idiot for saying this. Buffalo 4, Kansas City 3, 7 total penalties. 6 total penalties in the NFC Championship. Let's go to divisional weekend. Same teams, right? Ravens, Bills. I'm doing this on the fly, guys. That's why it's taking me a second, because I'm literally pulling this on the fly, because that's how confident I am in this. A total of 10 penalties, 8 against Baltimore. Still lower than what the Chiefs themselves acquired. Rams, Packers. Stats. Team button. I'm on NFL.com. It's slow. 6 total penalties. 6 total penalties. Browns, Chiefs. Pulling it up. Stats. Team. I'm talking myself through the buttons that I hit them. 10 total penalties. 7 against the Chiefs. Well, there you go. No, there you go. Shut up. That's no. 7 penalties is not the same as 11 in the freaking Super Bowl. Okay. Last one is Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. 12 total penalties. 7 against Tampa Bay. So you're going to tell me that they didn't officiate anything differently when the only team to have double-digit penalties the entire playoff run was the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That is a bullshit argument, and it's false. There are games where there weren't 11 total penalties called. Half the games didn't have as many penalties as they called against just the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. So I don't want to hear ever again that Tom Brady isn't favored by the refs. He was absolutely favored by the refs in this game, and it shaped the course of the game. Do the Chiefs still lose? Probably. But
it's a different game.
It's a different game, and that is the point. And that's what everybody does. Well, they lost by 22 points. Maybe they was. No. They lost by 22 points because there were touchdowns permitted in the game that came off of penalties. The punt that ended up not being a punt because they got a first down on it. That was the one I think that led to the halftime score. There was a number of these things. The NFL should absolutely be embarrassed by the individuals they put on the field to cover that game. The officiating crew dropped the ball in the literal sense, and it influenced the course of a Super Bowl. That is inexcusable.
Yep. It goes back to the whole idea of let them play. It's like you can't.
Which you did the entire playoff until that game.
Yeah. And actually, I think it started at that with the Packers' last drive when they just decided to call pass interference, and that just carried into the Super Bowl.
And yes, the Chiefs should have adjusted. But that's like saying you should have adjusted to something after you knew. That's like me saying right now there's a volcano erupting. Well, you're going to die like Vesuvius, but you should have adjusted to it. It's too late at that point. You needed to adjust when you saw smoke coming out of the volcano, not when the lava was raining down on you.
Yeah.
By saying that, well, Kansas City only got 4 penalties by playing a similar defense in the AFC Championship, but it's 11 penalties now. That is, you cannot put the genie back in the bottle. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle, and that is what the officiating crew did here. And again, I'm not excusing the fact that the Chiefs didn't play well. They had injuries on the offensive line, and it showed. Their offense played very lackadaisically, and it showed. Patrick Mahomes is hurt, and it showed. All of these things are rust, but a rusty car still goes faster and further than a bike with a novice on it.
Wow, that was deep.
But that's what I'm saying. My old beater car that I had for years, we used to call it Gert. It was so old. Gert can still go to 60 miles an hour when she's properly motivated. And that this is as much on the NFL as it does on the Chiefs. And I've just wasted almost 20 minutes complaining about this.
Hey, it's okay. You haven't gotten your event time from the Super Bowl, so it's fine.
And that's the thing. I spent 3 weeks trying to figure out how I wanted to frame this because I know people are sitting there going, "Oh, here comes the loser Chiefs fan. Wah wah wah! You lost the Super Bowl. Suck it up, bitch." Shut up. Shut up. I've watched my team play more Super Bowls than your team will actually make this time. So unless you're a Patriots fan, you can shut up. Okay? Because you're the only team that's been to more Super Bowls in the last 10 years than my team has. So I don't want to hear it. Okay? But what I'm telling you right now, for all of the things that happened, the officiating has to carry some of the blame. And the NFL does not seem to ever want to take any sort of blame for anything it does.
No, they don't.
So,
ever.
So I don't want to ever hear anymore how Tom Brady isn't given favorable treatment. The NFL wanted him to win this game, guys. Am I sitting here talking about 5G networks giving people diseases? No. This is not a conspiracy theory that the NFL pulled its referees aside and said, "Make sure Brady wins." No. But the NFL clearly has Brady as its savior in its line of sight. And yes, I do absolutely believe it affects the officiating. Do I think the officials go out there with the mindset that they have to favor Brady? No. But I can tell you right now, half a scotch in, as a retired softball individual, I was always a little nicer to the guys who were nice to me.
Just saying.
The guy who sat in the mound and screamed at me that my strike zone was too small didn't get as many marginal calls as the guy who did. And that was not intentional. It's just the mindset. You're on edge. When people are critical of you, you're on edge. When people are complimentary of you, you're not on edge.
Yeah,
it's
like
just
Brady
human
trying
nature.
to high five refs randomly.
That's it. But I don't want to hear ever again how Tom Brady gets a bad reputation because he gets calls and it's not his fault.
There
he
was,
gets
and just to put this in perspective,
please.
There was a game with before Joe Burrow got hurt, and he was running out of bounds, and he got pushed like he was already out of bounds, and the defensive player pushed him over, and he came off and he runs by the ref and he's like, "Hey, what happened to that?" And the ref was like, "Yeah, you don't get those calls yet."
Yes, you don't get those calls. And don't forget, in 2019, Raekwon McMillan of the Dolphins, a referee literally said to him, "Stay off Tom Brady."
Yeah,
and he went public with it.
It's just weird, you know?
He went public with it and was like, "Yeah, the referee told me to stay off of Brady if I didn't want to get penalties." Really? Really?
It's just odd. Just saying. Now Cinch will never be on this podcast again.
No, Cinch will come on here to tell me why I'm wrong. And let me intro it. Cinch, I know, listens every week. He's going to take that pause in it's almost Shatner-esque, how Cinch, when he's formulating a thought to tell me how stupid I am, how it says, the thing with this is, you're not right. And it's just Cinch, and I'm not mocking him. I'm just saying, when Cinch starts, I'm like, oh God, here it comes. I have said something that completely misaligns with his philosophy, and he's going to absolutely let me know. Tom Brady, amazing player. First ballot Hall of Famer. I stick to my guns. You cannot have a GOAT discussion with someone who's active. End of story. Well, LeBron, no. Well, Tiger Woods, no. By the way, best wishes to Tiger Woods after his
luckily
his
he only got a leg and ankle injury.
Yeah, but they had to put a rod in his leg.
That's true, but I mean, all considering,
So okay, so two things there. Number one, and we're not going to even. I'm not even bothering with. You know what? Standard format can go out the freaking window tonight. I'm back. I'm half a scotch in. We're talking football and sports stuff. We're just going to have a good time and relax. Listen, Tiger Woods should not be allowed to ever play golf again. If he has a metal rod in his leg, that makes him bionic. And that's an unfair advantage. If it's not, then I want all of my bones replaced with titanium, and then I can be a golf pro.
So you want to be Wolverine? That's what you're saying.
I think he's about halfway there.
And then luckily, though, I know Tiger Woods has had some, depression and addiction issues over the past.
He's had a very rocky road, yeah.
But apparently the street he was on is known for being very dangerous if you don't know how curvy and steep it is. So apparently it was just him speeding and not knowing the road.
Oh, did you not hear the TMZ info?
No.
TMZ, because people are like, how does TMZ get all this great information?
They're everywhere in California.
They're everywhere, and they hand people bags of money for information.
Yeah.
That's how they get what they want. Okay?
That works, I guess.
They have video of him taking curves on that road. Now, here's the thing. TMZ don't want to get sued. So what TMZ released was footage of the approximate location of a vehicle that fit Tiger Woods' vehicle's description at the approximate time of the accident.
Huh. Interesting.
So they're not telling you that this is Tiger Woods' car. They're telling you a car that looked just like the one he was driving drove by this camera right at the approximate time when he would have been driving by in the timeline of the accident.
Well, the guy in charge of DMZ used to be a lawyer, so I guess that's why.
There it is. And it does show him going a little quick for that level of road.
But the police said they're not charging him with anything, so
it just looks like an accident. It looks like a guy who wasn't operating safely and caused an accident. Was it criminal negligence? Probably not. It was probably, like you said, he didn't know the road.
Yeah. So really quick at the beer I'm drinking.
Please go ahead and let's shift topics. It only took us 20 minutes to get back to Craig's beer, but let's go for it.
It's very murky. You cannot see through it at all. There's very little light penetration. Mm-hmm. It is very smooth. There's some hint of fruit. It's, very mild citrus, but it's very easy to drink, and it's not overly juicy, but it doesn't dry your mouth out at all. And what I was trying to remember about this beer, the guy that started this brewery, his brother is actually the one who started Evil Twin.
Oh, really?
And apparently, I haven't read up on it, but apparently they do not like each other, and they had a giant Twitter war a couple years ago. Yeah.
Wow. So there's some drama.
Yes.
Yeah, Craig will do some investigative reporting and get back to us at a later episode about that. But it's an IPA then.
It is an IPA, yes.
You probably mentioned that and I missed it because I'm so focused on my scotch.
It's a New England IPA.
I look forward to trying this.
You shall.
I do. I look forward to trying this. I actually almost called you today, or yesterday, because I looked at the forecast for Sunday and it's supposed to be like 49 degrees, and I'm like, is that warm enough for us to have breakfast outside?
I think so. As long as it's not
close.
raining.
It's close. I think there's rain.
It was 51 degrees today, and I went out with a sweatshirt, and I was perfectly fine.
So I was running the vaccination clinic today for the site that I work at, and every so often someone would walk up, and there's a push here for a handicap access button, and I'll never understand why, but people just all do that now instead of just like grabbing the handle and pulling.
Mm-hmm.
They just push the button.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, the inside and outer door both simultaneously open, and I would get these glorious rushes of fresh air past where I was setting up the station. I was like, oh, it's so nice out, and I'm stuck and freaking inside today.
Yeah, only in New England can we go from 25 degrees and needing a parka to 52 degrees in a sweatshirt in 24 hours.
Seriously. Don't like the weather? Wait 10 minutes.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk some news and notes.
Sure.
You know what? I have much more to complain about with the Super Bowl, but let's be honest. Cinch is listening to this right now, and he's going, "Oh, I'm so going after Britt with Brady." We'll save it for the group. Let's talk about what's going on in the NFL. Craig, why don't you? What news since the Super Bowl has struck you?
That has struck me. So there's a ton of free agency that is going to happen.
Rumored,
but
it's going to be a busy season.
One of the biggest shocks to me was Vincent Jackson.
Sorry, I had a mouthful of scotch.
No problem.
And when I say a mouthful, I mean a mouthful. Oh my God! Yeah, we didn't in my retching. We didn't even address that.
Yeah, it's 38. And you found in a hotel.
Now we're a beer and football podcast, right? So it's really difficult for me to sit there and talk about the evils of alcohol, which would always used to bother me. I was an altar boy back in the day. I was raised Catholic, and I was an altar boy back in the day. And I can distinctly remember being about 12 years old and sitting on an altar in a Catholic church as a priest screamed about the evils of alcohol. And then not 20 minutes later downed an entire cup of wine.
Oh yeah, I've seen priests finish off a whole bottle of wine by themselves within a matter of 30 minutes.
Off the air, ask me about the time a priest came over my house for dinner and brought a bottle of wild turkey. It's a fantastic story. I'm not joking. It is not a joke. I just can't tell it on the air.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, remind me about the priest and the wild turkey story next time we have time to talk privately.
Okay.
Because that bottle emptied, and it was one of those situations where it was, I can't go there. I can't go there. Okay, anyway. So I don't want to talk about the evils of alcohol because it's very self-serving and it's very hypocritical based on the fact that I've got scotch and Craig drinks beer and we always drink beer on this podcast. At some point the NFL has got to face its reckoning with player care. And when I have to see, and this is what cinches it for me, when Ryan Leaf is the voice of reason in a room.
Think about that.
About addiction? You have a problem. This is a guy who struggled crazy bad. His career basically went nowhere because of addiction and drug and alcohol abuse. And he is the voice of reason in the room? I mean, I don't want to go to too extreme an example, but think about the worst person you know going, whoa, guys, that might be too offensive for me. That's pretty severe.
Yeah, the NFL just finally has to openly admit that, like when you play football, there's other contact sports like hockey, but football, I think, it ruins you depending on your position. So I think the NFL needs to come to terms with that. And I know all these guys at this point in time, I'm pretty sure most people that play football professionally know what could possibly happen to them. But
sure,
we all have to admit the money that they get is good. It's very hard to turn down. But I think the NFL has to come to a point where they admit that you are not going to have a fun time once you're 60, 50, and there needs to be something for players to, lean on.
And that's what they did this whole legacy thing. We're going to deal with our legends and our legacy thing. But Ryan Leaf's the first one to point out they put $0 into it. They put all this money up front. Oh, we're going to develop a Legends Care program. Yeah, but you haven't cared for legends. You haven't put the money forward. Well, we're going to put $100 million into it. That's great. How much money have I seen? I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen counseling. I haven't seen anything to help me. And now you got Vincent Jackson. And you know what? I'm sorry. The passing of Vincent Jackson feels a lot like the passing of Junior Seau to me.
Yeah. And Vincent Jackson was 38.
Too young, unable to cope with the end of a career. And again, this is the thing. Guys, this is not like a guy who spends 20 years as an accountant and then decides to go into like human services. It's not a shift. These are guys from the time of 14 years old who've been told they're going to be amazing people. And then all of a sudden they turn like 36, 37, and it stops. They've had 20 plus years of constant adoration and ego boosting, and it just stops. They're not valuable, air quotes, valuable anymore. It's not as easy as saying, well, you know what? I'm done working in this field. I'm going to really change my life and work in another. It's not. It's not simple for most of these guys.
Yeah.
Now, I had an opportunity. I'm going to blank on his name, so I apologize. But in 2019, the curling club that I'm a member of hosted a team of NFL retirees. Jared Allen was on it. There were a couple other guys on it. One of the guys was a defensive lineman for the Titans for like 6 seasons. And he was late getting to the first match. So he didn't get to play in the first match. But he shows up and he grabs a beer and he sits down at a table with me and we're just talking. I'm like, dude, I'm a huge football fan. I do a football podcast, etc. Excuse me. And we're just talking. This dude talked all about his life after football. The reason he was late is the company he runs now needed to do a job before he could come up here. That's the reason he was late. He was working. That's not the same for everybody. Not everybody. Was it? What's the name?
Keith Allen.
Probably. His name was Keith. I'm pretty sure his name was Keith. But I'm also a Scotch shit.
Or Keith Bullock. Keith Bullock. There we go.
That name's ringing a bell. I think that's
Bullock.
it.
There
he was playing with Jared Allen's team because I met Jared Allen that weekend, and Jared Allen was a super nice guy. Jared Allen was a nicer guy than the captain of his team. The captain of his team, when they got knocked out early because they didn't play as well as they wanted to, like stormed out and was like, F this place, I'm leaving. And Jared Allen said, screw that, I'm getting a beer. Let's sit down and chat. Jared Allen was totally a gracious loser. Was a great, gracious loser. I think he did snap a broom over his knee, but that's another story. He hung out with us. So anyway, I'm talking to Keith, and I think it was Keith Bullock. I think you're right. I think you got the right name. But he was like, yeah, the reason I was late for this game was because my company is doing a renovation project down in Tennessee, and I wanted to oversee the details of it before I flew to this tournament. And I was just like, okay, this is a guy who gets it. Not everybody gets it. Not everyone is able to make that transition from football pro to Joe Pro citizen. He was. Not everybody is. And that's the part the NFL has never grasped. Now, factor in that those same folks who can't make the transition normally have sustained systematic long-term brain injury. Or what we're pretty much calling CTE. It's a completely different ballgame, guys. We have to react differently. We have to. Otherwise, this game is not going to last.
No.
The next generation is not going to have access to it the way we do because we're not doing it properly. Why? Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you a point-blank question right now, Craig.
Yeah.
If you were a parent and your son walked through the door right now and said, I need you to sign this release form for me to play football, in addition to understanding you had to send him with the form, would you actually sign the form right now? Because I know parents who would, and I know parents who wouldn't.
Right now, I would just have to really, really think about it.
It's not an easy call, right?
No. And I only played high school football for 3 years, and I some days regret it because it hurts sometimes.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah.
When you say hurts, tell folks what hurts.
For me, it's mainly my shoulder, and then sometimes my hip. Because
you only played 3 years at the high school.
I only played for 3 years, and I played 1 year, stopped playing, and then played for 2 years, because my sophomore year during practice I got hit. We did this drill, and someone hit me like with their head in my left hip, and I kind of bent in half, and I limped around for like 3 months. And I went to therapy. It was not fun. And then I would feel like pain down all in my leg. Every so often now it kind of hurts, but it's been better. But now it's mostly my shoulder, because I did get hit in the shoulder a lot, my right shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I had at least one concussion, because I got hit square on, and I got up, and everything had a black outline around it. It was very weird.
Like a letterbox.
Yes. And I told my coach, I'm like, yeah, I can't see right. And he's like, all right, take your helmet off and stand over there.
Yeah. There was no evaluation. That was just get out of my way. Now, granted, Craig and I are old men. We're talking about the 90s. But that's beside the point. The NFL has a reckoning to deal with, and it keeps putting it off like it's never going to come. Let me tell you something. Jerry Jones's Cowboys, presented by Jerry Jones, ain't going to save you when the reckoning comes. It's coming. The NFL needs to be ahead of it, and they're not. I think about it too. Like, Major League Baseball is so engaged right now in this culture of sexism. Like, we've seen like multiple members of the New York Mets front office get terminated or suspended, or front office / coaching staff, I should say, get into trouble because of sexist behavior. This isn't new. 4 years ago, Keith Hernandez got suspended for like 2 games on a broadcast because the Padres brought a female trainer into their dugout, and he had a flip out on the air.
I forgot about that.
Do you remember? I mean, it was like, what you can't have a woman in the dugout. Grumble, grumble, man, beat my chest. And they suspended him for like a week. And they were like, okay, everything's fine. Let's move on. No, it's not. That's not just Keith Hernandez being an idiot. There is a cultural problem in a lot of sports with how women are treated. And MLB was just kind of like, all right, the Mets handled it, let's move on. And now here we are, like several years later. The problem is still there. Only now it's getting a lot more attention. And that's just an example of how sports doesn't want to deal with its issues until they are overwhelming issues. No one cares about concussions until Will Smith is starring in a movie pointing out how bad concussions are. And oh, by the way, he's pointing out to the guy who just happens to share the name of your current commissioner. It's not like they were like, this is Johnny Jones. No. They literally were like, there he is. This is the commissioner of the NFL. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Goodell,
Roger Goodell. Who's that guy? Even in the offseason. It's like, excuse me, Mr. Goodell? Are you Roger Goodell? Mr. Roger Goodell, the head of NFL? Like, the script was so... It's like he walks in a... I forget who played him. One of the Wilson brothers. Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson plays him in the movie. He might as well have walked in with a sign around his neck that said, I'm Roger Goodell and I'm guilty. In that movie. There was no attempt to hide the contempt for Roger Goodell. And now here we are. What was that, like 4 years ago that movie came out?
I think it's longer. I have to look
Even more. And has anything really changed?
Maybe helmets, sort of.
Helmets and evaluation?
And then players don't even want to wear new helmets.
That drives me absolutely nuts.
That was one of Antonio Brown's tantrums one time.
I don't care about... Well, first off, I don't care about Antonio Brown's tantrums regardless. Hashtag no more white woman 2020.
He did write that.
Great job, Antonio Brown. I fully blame you for the crap show that was 2020. That's on you because you rained it down on us with that stupid-ass tweet. But that's beside the point. I don't know what my point was. My point was, this is the NFL has created this issue. They need to resolve it before it becomes a bigger issue. It is seriously like getting a negative health diagnosis and the doctor goes, well, 10 to 20 years, this might be an issue. And you going, okay, that's fine. The next 10 to 20 years, I'm good. Eventually, it's going to become a point where you don't have a choice anymore. You need to address it now. Why is this still an issue? Why is Vincent Jackson dead? Why? And the answer is because the NFL did nothing for a guy who could not care for himself. And that's really what it comes down to, guys. Craig and I spend 30-plus weeks a year. We do 50 episodes a season talking about a game that is literally killing the people who play it.
Yeah.
And I'm letting this silence linger there because it really matters. The NFL is killing that which makes it great. This is a heavy episode.
It was.
It wasn't supposed to be. This is supposed to be the episode where I got really drunk and complained about officials.
Yeah, but here you go. We'll switch topic. We can switch gears. It's fine.
We have a few minutes left. Switch gears one more time, and then we got to wrap up.
Yeah. So I'm going to go down a list of players who are free agents. Actually, okay. I'm going to go through mostly quarterbacks. So you tell me who is staying and who's leaving.
Okay, I can do that.
Dak Prescott.
Staying. Because Jerry Jones will make sure Jerry Jones's Cowboys have a franchise quarterback that is endorsed by Jerry Jones.
Fair. Jameis Winston.
Where is he now?
He's in New Orleans.
Pass. I don't know. Your
Allen
thoughts?
Robinson.
Before you go to Allen Robinson, tell me your thoughts on Jameis Winston.
Honestly, I think New Orleans should keep him since he's been behind Drew Brees.
Should. But will they?
I think so. I don't think his I haven't looked at the numbers, but I don't think his contract is that much that they can't keep him.
No, it was an idea job contract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Allen Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Staying.
You don't. I don't think he wants to stay in Chicago. Would you keep him if you're Chicago?
Well, I would absolutely keep him in Chicago. Listen. Name me a great quarterback or an up-and-coming quarterback now in the league that doesn't have an Allen Robinson level receiver. Name one. And let me point out that Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo to help Josh Allen develop.
True.
Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes are probably not the players they are without each other. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
Drew Brees calls for his retirement and questions about him leaving start 3 years earlier without Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Tom Brady had 2 really good receivers and still said, you know what, I'm going to throw to Scotty Miller. Allen Robinson sees the writing on the wall here. He can be the number 1 option in Chicago. Or he can potentially become the number 2 option somewhere else if he really wants a ring. I think Allen Robinson wants the stats and he wants the numbers and he wants to be the number 1 guy. And he can do that in Chicago, so I think he stays.
All right. Chris Godwin. Does he stay in Tampa?
Goes. And
Goes.
it's not his choice.
All right. Kenny Galladay.
Goes, because no one wants to be in Detroit. Particularly now that Stafford is gone. Detroit is the city and the team that is constantly rebuilding.
They kind of are.
And to that point, when I play Retro Bowl, I always start out as Detroit. And the reason I do that is because I don't ever want to. I want to bring a championship to Detroit before I do whatever I do. I feel
you just
bad
want to get
for
that
them.
over with and be done.
They're the only team to never appear in a Super Bowl that's been around since the beginning of the Super Bowl era.
Really?
Go back and look.
I'll have to look that up.
The Lions have never appeared in the Super Bowl.
Lions Super Bowl. The next one is Hunter Henry.
He says he wants to go, so I say let him go.
He wants to play somewhere with a good quarterback.
He has a good quarterback. Justin Herbert is fantastic as long as he's done by 9 p.m. so his mom can pick him up. He's fantastic. Why? Herbert is a step up from Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
It's a step up. This would be like Travis Kelce saying, you traded Alex Smith, I'm out of here. No! It's a step up to go to Mahomes. Stay here.
And yes, you are correct. They are the oldest NFL team that has not appeared in a Super Bowl, as well as the only franchise operational for the entirety of the Super Bowl era and the only NFC team to not appear.
That's exactly it. I mean, there are teams that have never been to a Super Bowl. I get that. But not ones that have been around. Detroit predates the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions are older than the Super Bowl itself. And they have never been to a Super Bowl.
It's kind of sad.
It really is.
Will Fuller.
Oh, God. Will Fuller should take a contract at minimum anywhere he can get it because he never plays more than 4 games a year. He's going to have 460 yards and 3 touchdowns in those 4 games, but he's only going to have those 4 games.
Yep.
I'm going to look up his stats for this year. I'd be shocked if he played more than 8 games.
No, because he got suspended for
That's right. Oh, that even adds to it.
Performance-enhancing drugs.
That's even you get injured all the time on performance. What would you do without him?
Yeah.
What would you do when you're clean? Is what I want to hear. What would you do when you're clean?
All right, the next 3 are interesting. Already, Aaron Jones. I think the Packers would be kind of silly to not keep him.
No, they have to keep him.
I mean, I know they have Dylan, and I like Dylan, but it'd be kind of weird if they didn't keep him.
To be fair, Will Fuller did play 11 games this year, which is the most games he's played since 2016.
That is impressive. It was probably the drugs.
And by the way, Will Fuller, because he can't play more than 11 games in the season, has never had a 1,000-yard season.
Huh.
His best season was this year at 879 yards. So Will Fuller should absolutely send out like one of those YouTube videos. Hi, I'm Will Fuller, and I'd like to be a wide receiver for you. Absolutely should do one of those video resumes. Because otherwise, I mean, would you want him on the Bengals?
No.
He's going to be great for 3 games, but then he's completely useless.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? And no, Aaron Jones has to stay. They have to sign him.
Juju Smith-Schuster, who has said he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, but he is a free agent.
Duff man wants a lot of things. Why is he not a priority sign? They didn't give you the opportunity to be the number 1 receiver. They drove a sign on your lawn that said Pittsburgh's number 1 receiver, and you didn't perform. Sorry, no. You take a lesser contract or you move on. I'm pulling up his numbers right now. He had 831 yards this year. 2 years ago in 2018, he had over 1,400. He
That's
had
a slight drop off.
Yeah. Well, 2019, he didn't have Big Ben. Okay, so he had 552 yards. But opposite Antonio Brown, when he was the number 2, he had 1,400 yards and 111 receptions and made the Pro Bowl. You know what that says to me? He is worthy of the Alvin Harper Award. Remember when Alvin Harper was a Cowboy and he couldn't drop a pass? And then he was like, I'm going to be the number 1 in Tampa. And we never heard from him again.
No, we did not.
He had the quietest 97 catches for 830 yards I've ever seen.
All right. No. Couple more really quick.
Yeah.
Corey Davis.
He still plays football?
Voice trails off.
He still plays?
He does. He's still a Titan.
He's still a Titan?
As of right now.
He was a Titan this year?
Yes.
Oh. Good for him.
Yeah.
No, he's not a priority sign because he does nothing when he's, again, spotlight. He's an Alvin Harper candidate.
All right.
Spotlight's on him, he can't perform.
Since you mentioned him, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown can fall into the sun and I wouldn't care.
Wow. All right.
The easy answer, though, is he's a must-sign if you part ways with Godwin, but I don't understand why you would part ways with Godwin to keep Brown.
Good answer. There are rumors that they want to extend Brady's contract, so I don't know what those numbers look like.
Of course they do. They just won their first Super Bowl with a guy not named Trent Dilfer.
I remember that Super Bowl, too. Jonnu Smith.
Oh. You know what this is reminding me of? Do you remember the episode from the beginning of Scrooged?
Mm-hmm.
Where the secretary is sitting with Frank Cross going over his Christmas list?
Mm-hmm.
And it's either towel or VCR.
Yeah.
And the people who he likes, he's giving a VCR to. That's how I feel like. And there's a couple times they're like, Joe Blow, and he pauses and he's like, That's how I feel like with Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith might be worthy of the re-sign, which is a VCR, or he might just get a bath towel. I'm going to put him in the bath. No, you don't need to sign him. He's a bath towel.
All right.
And there's your title. Jonnu Smith is a bath towel.
T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, yes. T.Y. Hilton needs to retire as a Colt. End of story. He is the one guy you have that basically personifies your glory years. Because he's Manning, he's Luck, and now he's everyone else.
True.
And that's the guy. That's the face of your franchise. Think about the Raiders when the Raiders were really good at the end of the 80s into the 90s. Tim Brown was there for all of it. Tim Brown was the guy. He was the guy you wanted to be your face. T.Y. Hilton is the Tim Brown of the Colts.
That's true. I like that.
There you go.
J.J. Watt. Now, there was some Twitter.
It's gone already.
There is some Twitter. Well, his is more where do you think he's gonna go? There was
so there's
Twitter
two places
crypto.
I think he's going.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been following this, J.J. Watt has been posting random pictures on Twitter and Instagram with captions like "First day in the new city," things like that. And I think he's really toying with us because I think he's being honest. But people are like, well, in that picture, first day in the new city, he's watching soccer coverage and the team colors on the screen are red and blue. So I think he's going to Buffalo. But wait. In the same picture, there's a love picture on the sign that's similar to the one that's a statue in Philadelphia. He must be going to Philadelphia. Well, here's what I know. J.J. Watt is inherently interested in making you wonder where he's going to go. So where is the question isn't is J.J. Watt going anywhere? The question is where. And the answer is I don't care. I'll figure it out when he gets there. Because right now he's just playing up the drama. He's just where is his brother? His brother's in Philly, isn't he?
He's in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. He's not going to Pittsburgh. He's not going to Pittsburgh. But I am done looking at pictures of J.J. Watt's Instagram like there's some sort of puzzle in an escape room.
That's what it feels like.
It absolutely feels like that. It feels like it feels like there's a clue in every freaking thing. And by the way, Craig, you've done escape rooms with me. Don't you miss escape rooms at this point? It's been like over a year.
I do miss escape rooms. I do. We're undefeated.
We have Craig and I are part of a small group of 8 people who have never failed to escape a room.
Nope. We don't break the record for time, but we got close a couple times, but we've never failed.
Yes, and a couple times we've gotten very close, but we have never failed to escape a room. And people are like, well, you're probably playing the 1-star. No. I have contacted escape room facilities and said, what's your toughest room? And we've gone in there and you have an hour and 47 minutes later we're standing in the lobby. It's happened. We're like 6, 7?
6 or 7.
6 or 7 now. It's not like it's a small number. So if you're listening to this and you run an escape room and you think you have an inescapable room, please contact us.
Please.
Because we will absolutely take that bet. And if your room beats us, we will absolutely spend an entire episode apologizing to you on the air with the name and location of your business, because we're good.
Yeah.
We may not be the best, but we're damn good.
We're good. It's true. It's damn true. Okay, really quick. 2 more.
2 more and then we gotta go. Go ahead.
Yep. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Your friend and mine, he's a running back, Kenyon Drake.
Is he still in the league? He's in Arizona.
Yes.
No, you don't re-sign him. What's the other guy in Arizona now? The younger guy. Who's that guy?
Mumbly Joe.
Mumbly Joe. I'm trying to
look it up.
I'm typing right now. Arizona Cardinals. Damn you, Scotch brain. Can't type so good. Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is there. So is Eno Benjamin. So no, you don't need to resign him. Him and his bad knees? No. You still got DJ Foster there. I'm sorry, Eno Benjamin's not there anymore, but DJ Foster's still there. John Ward is still there. No, you don't need to resign Kenyon Drake.
All right. And I'm going to say 2 names because they're right next to each other. One is James White, and the other is where did it just go? It was right here. James White and James Conner.
White will resign because Belichick is all about his guys, and White is one of his guys. James Conner needs to spend more time figuring out how he can stay on the field and be productive than taking pictures of himself in a weight room. Pittsburgh is in a bad spot. They have gone all in on Big Ben the last 5 years.
And they're going to re-sign him one more time.
Yeah, and that's a mistake in my opinion. That is absolutely a mistake in my opinion. It's time to move on from Ben Roethlisberger. But they'll sign him because they're Pittsburgh. I mean, this is an organization that won't fire their coach ever.
And now he has COVID.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm saying Tomlin deserved to be fired this year. That's not what I'm saying. But look at the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching history, and you're going to find out they're a very old team that never fires their coaches. Ever.
Yeah. No, they don't.
I'm trying to find a historical list of it. Here we go. List of Pittsburgh Steelers head coaches. All right. First off, there's 16 names on this list. 16.
They've been around a very long time.
They've been around since 1933. And their first 2 coaches only lasted a year each. They've only had 3 coaches since 1969.
That is bananas.
In 52 years, they've employed 3 guys. Chuck Noll was there for 13 seasons. Bill Cowher was there for 15 seasons. And Mike Tomlin has been there for 14 seasons. And Tomlin has a better win percentage than Noll and Cowher.
Yeah.
Just saying, they don't part with their coaches. Since 1969, they've employed 3 guys.
That is really impressive, in all
That's
honesty.
insane. Insane. So, you know what? What the hell was the question? Connor. Connor needs to either perform or he's not going to get back there. But again, this is a team that is very committed to history. I think they'll find a way. They'll find a way. All right, final thoughts, Craig. I'm gonna say this. I wasted a ton of time at the beginning of the show ranting about the Chiefs. So the final thought only goes to Craig this week. What do you got?
Wow, it's put me on the spot. I'm gonna say hi, Deb, even though she's like 12 episodes behind.
Hi, Deb.
And football is officially over, but you know what? This past year actually went by really quick, even though we've all been home. So before you know it, it's gonna be the draft.
Yeah,
so even though while you're enjoying baseball, football is gonna come back fairly quick. So just I would say just relax for now because it's gonna come back before you know it.
By the way, do you know that the Steelers didn't win a playoff game until Chuck Noll became their coach?
Really?
So between 1941 and 1968, they were 0-1 in the playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's your random
And
football
ironically
fact.
enough, I sit here and talk about how Mike Tomlin has the best win percentage. He has the worst playoff win percentage of Noel Cowher in himself.
Really?
He's 8-8.
Huh.
He's 8-8.
How many Super Bowls has he won?
Just the one, right? Just the one?
Really?
I think so.
I think my brain is blending when they were which coach was when.
Yeah, I'd have to take a deeper dive
Yeah.
into it. A full scotch in, I don't really care enough to look, so I'll take this opportunity to remind you guys, though, that please, we would like for you to leave us a review wherever you listen to us. We understand that we've been listed on a couple of new podcasting sites. I would scream out their names if I could remember what they were off the top of my head, but I can't. So wherever you listen to us, please leave us a review. Reach out to us. We love to hear from you guys. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com through email. We are at fignutsdfs on Twitter. Send us a DM. I think DMs are open. Why not? Tag us in your post. We would love to hear from you. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to see us do more? I got one DMs that just said Britt dropped dead. Not really constructive enough for me to act on it.
Be constructive with your criticism.
Yeah, give us something. Feedback, great, bad, whatever you want to do. We would love to hear from you. The off season is upon us. I'm gonna try really hard to shake off this Chief loss between now and draft day.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you have your Mets. They'll be here for you.
How does that help?
They're really good in April and May.
They're really good on paper every year. I am so tired of hearing this is the Mets year. No, it's not. Cinch, listen to me. No. Every year I get a text from Cinch. This team could win 94 games. No, it can't.
On paper, they can.
I'll be grateful if this team shows up for 94 of its games. As I've said to our contributor Sean on multiple occasions, you are a Met fan. Misery is your birthright.
Hey, told you there's plenty of pinstripes for everybody.
No,
okay?
No. I refuse to join the cult of the Yankees. I refuse. I was in a stadium 3 years ago, just sitting there having a nice time with a hot dog, and all of a sudden I hear over the speakers, "All rise!" And you would have thought Elvis just rose from the dead, walked in the door, and introduced Jesus. The way that the place went nuts, I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So yeah, no, I can't. I as much as I dislike the Yankees, I can't rag Craig's team for being good. It's just a consequence of good management. So anyway, leave us a review. We will probably be back next week. The off season gives us the opportunity to be flexible, so we are going to embrace that. But we will try to be back next week, and we need to start talking to the source. The source doesn't like coming on the air, but we will talk.
He's only been
to the
on like
source
once or twice.
Once in 4 years, twice. I think you're right, twice. But we need to start talking to him because he's for lack of a better term, he's the source when it comes to our draft prep for who's going to get where. So we need to start talking to him, and we'll start getting ready for the NFL draft in just a few weeks. I can't believe it. It never ends.
No, it doesn't.
It's an endless hell realm of constant torment. I'm never going to escape it. Anyway, we will be back. We enjoyed talking with you guys. Please reach out to us. Until next week, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.